How's it going, YouTube? Pat Mac here, bringing you a competitive guide for a new Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. Farigiraf here is a normal and psychic type with 3 amazing abilities. Chew allows you to eat a berry once when it is activated, and then will eat the berry again at the end of the next turn. Armor Tail is a Queenly Majesty clone, which means that it blocks priority moves against you and your allies. And then Sap Sipper increases the attack stat by 1 stage after it is hit by a grass type attack. So really solid options here. All 3 of them are going to be amazing, and I think that's one of the things that makes Farigiraf so awesome, is that it's just got so many different options available to it. It's got really solid stats as well. We can see HP, defense, special defense, all really solid with a really high HP stat at 120. And then also has really solid not defensive stats. Those are good too. But the offensive stats are really solid here as well. 90 attack is definitely a good option for it. 110 I think is the more likely special attack stat that people are going to be used, and that's mostly what I'm highlighting in my movesets today. And then 60 speed is also pretty fantastic. Not so much for singles, it's a little bit slow on that side of things, but it gets a little bit more in HP and bulk. But for 60 is pretty solid for doubles, because Trick Room is totally a game plan in those kinds of games. So let's take a look at some of the different options for Farigiraf. I think on the different roles that it has, it can serve as a couple of different roles here. I think for singles it can work as a revenge killer, it can work as a sweeper, and then it can also work as like a cleric or a pivot. With 110 special attack stat, I think it could be a breaker as well, but I think it's more likely to fill some of those older roles. I don't really see it being a wall. It doesn't quite have the longevity that I think walls are really looking for, and walls are kind of nerfed in Scarlet and Violet anyway. For VGC, I think it hits a lot of these things really well. It has really good consistency and presence on the battlefield. Speed control, obviously, with Trick Room. It also has Bulldoze as an option if you want to go for a fast mode. And then it just does pretty well in terms of having some support options. So the first moveset that I wanted you to take a look at here is a revenge killing set. Armor Tail will stop those priority moves, so with a Choice Scarf we're outspeeding things, and then we don't need to worry about Sucker Punch, which would be a huge weakness for this Pokemon if we didn't have Armor Tail. So that allows us to outspeed everything. With Timid, Max Speed, and a Choice Scarf, we outspeed the 115 Pokemon of the world, which would be things like Azelf, I think is the first one that comes to mind, but I know there's others. So having that Choice Scarf allows us to have that speed, and hits past those 115s. The options that I have here: Psychic, Hyper Voice, Terra Blast for fighting, and then Trick, I think is a pretty, it's a good option for a set. Obviously you want to tailor it to the specific matchups that you're playing against, but having Psychic and Hyper Voice, the only resistance to those are going to be those steel types. Yeah, so Terra Blast fighting deals with those steel types pretty well. I don't necessarily know if this is the Pokemon that wants to be Terra typing on a team, but Terra Blast fighting is a way to at least hit those steel types if that's something that you're looking for. And then it has Trick. Trick is mostly there because any kind of steel type wall that wants to come in, if we don't necessarily need the Choice Scarf in the matchup, then of course tricking a Choice Scarf onto a wall is just absolutely fantastic. It completely negates the power that that type of Pokemon, right, that those walls have. The next kind of set I have for you here is a sweeper set, and oh my god, this is the set I am most excited about seeing on Farigiraf. Chew is a freaking such a cool ability, so if you get hit by a physical move, Keyberry pops. You get a +1 defense, set you agility that turn, then you go to your next turn, your Keyberry is going to pop at the end of the next turn. We're going to be at +4 already. If we get a Calm Mind again, we'll be at +6. 6 stats, right? not +6 special attack. Right, but like we'll have +6 in all of our stats, and stored power should be able to do massive amounts of damage. I have Modest on here because after an agility at Modest speed, we outspeed some of the fastest Pokemon in the game. I believe this outspeeds Dragapult, which is absolutely nuts, so we get the most amount of damage with this kind of set. Obviously, if we decide that we want to go with something that's closer to like Timid, and we can invest more into our bulk or something like that, then I think that's a pretty solid option for this Pokemon as well. You just get to tailor it for whatever matchup you're interested in. Thunderbolt is there as a coverage move, mostly because of things like Corviknight, for example. Corviknight would be that steel type that we didn't necessarily want to go Terra Blast fighting for example, because we just hit it neutrally from there. But Thunderbolt would give us a really solid option there in terms of yeah, in terms of hitting that Pokemon without becoming weak to it. Next option I have for you is kind of, I have Cleric written here, but it's kind of a Cleric slash pivot kind of set. It's just a disruptive option, so going very defensive with like max HP and max defense gives us really good options, just in terms of being super bulky and like a physical quote-unquote wall. But Wish Wish Pass is the main idea behind this set, so we Wish, we Baton Pass into some kind of threat that we want, and then we also kind of have Future Sight as a way to get some chip on some of the walls that might come in on our threat, and then Thunder Wave to paralyze some things that might be faster than whatever sweeper we have on our team. So I think that's kind of the main idea behind this set, and I think that it could put in quite a bit of work for us, just as a good option. This set, I have it as like Leftovers and Armor Tail. I don't think that this is the kind of set that you want to have Cudchew on, because I'm not really looking to stay in on the field very many turns. But if that's the plan, right, you could have something like a Citrus Berry with Cudchew to regain some health. Next option I have for you is a doubles support kind of set. Armor Tail I think is going to be absolutely amazing. I expect this type of set, whether it's these specific moves and this specific EV set, to be the exact set. I think this is probably what doubles is going to run. Armor Tail is just so fantastic for doubles. We've seen how good Queenly Majesty from Serena is, and yeah, being able to stop Fake Out is so good because it gives you that tempo control to be able to do what it is that your team wants to do. So being able to run this next to some, well, I'll go into some partners a little bit later, but being able to stop Fake Out from coming in and being able to set up Trick Room I think is really solid. Mental Herb I have as there on there because of Taunt, so we can just stop Taunt, which would be the main way of being able to stop Trick Room from going up on this set. Yeah, so that we look pretty solid there. So Trick Room, Ally Switch are very solid support moves. Very annoying for Ally Switch that Farigiraf has here. So we can have that as an option. And then I just have Hyper Voice and Psychic as stabs. This Pokemon does also have Helping Hand, which could be an option, just depending on what damage calc looks like in a matchup. But I think that this is kind of set you're going to see in some doubles matches. Next one I have for you is a heavy hitting set. This one is Cudchew instead of Armor Tail, just because of how well it works with Citrus Berry. The best berries out there are the pinch berries. When you're at a quarter HP, you get a third back. Well, Citrus Berry activates at half HP, but only gives you 25% back. However, because of Cudchew, you get 25% back, and then at the end of the next turn, you get another 25%. So this is essentially a 50% healing berry on Farigiraf over 2 turns, which is absolutely fantastic. So I have Trick Room on here as an option again, just because of how slow this Pokemon is and how good Trick Room is in doubles matchups. I think that this is going to be a pretty solid option for Farigiraf. And then Nasty Plot. You saw Calm Mind earlier. This Pokemon also gets Nasty Plot, so being able to boost those Hyper Voices, that spread damage, being able to boost those Psychic type attacks is going to be really solid for this Pokemon as well. Again, this could have some other things on here, Protect, Helping Hands, things like that. But I think if this is the kind of set where heavy hitting, we want Nasty Plot and we want some really solid damage output. So I think this Pokemon does really well overall in a lot of matchups. However, it does have some problems. So Dark types obviously are a huge problem for us, and then Steel types are a problem for us as well. So I think the best options are going to be Fighting types, right? Fighting types are going to be able to hit those Darks, are going to be able to hit those Steels. A couple of mons come to mind just off the bat. I think Quacklevel, I don't know how you say this Pokemon's name, but I think that that's a really solid option for us. Being a Fighting type, it's going to resist those Steel types. Oh, being a Water type, it resists the Steel types attacks. And then, of course, being a Fighting type, it can break through those Steels, can break through those Darks. The other option, I think, is the Blaze Tauros. I forget exactly what it's called, but the fire type Tauros, so that Paldean form, will be really solid, again, resisting the Steel type attacks, resisting the Dark type attacks, and being able to have that really solid coverage and a good speed tier to go along with Farigiraf, mostly from a single standpoint. So another partner that could work pretty well for Farigiraf is the Justified mons like Lucario and Arcanine. I didn't mention it in any of the sets, but this Pokemon does get beat up. So you could have like a really fast option with beat up and be able to get those Justified boosts on Lucario and Arcanine. Or if you're in a singles match, right, then you can switch to those Pokemon in, expecting a Dark type attack to come in. I think a Pokemon that's going to be absolutely fantastic for those Pokemon in doubles is Iron Hands or Hariyama, right? The future form or the kind of normal form. Both of those Pokemon are very slow and they get Fake Out. Being able to put them on the battlefield next to Farigiraf with Armor Tail means that you're stopping Fake Out on your side, you're getting Fake Out on their side, and as long as Farigiraf can get one hit from some Pokemon, then we're going to get Trick Room set up, and the two of those Pokemon would do very well in Trick Room. So I think that all 4, 5 of those Pokemon that I mentioned will be fantastic partners for Farigiraf, and I'm really excited to see how it does in both singles, doubles, and actually Masters style drafts as well. And yeah, let me know what you think about this Pokemon in the comments down below. What are your favorite things about it? What are you looking forward to from this Mon? Do you want to use in singles? Do you want to use in doubles? What are you excited about? And yeah, if you've enjoyed the content, the competitive guide here, definitely like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one.